we're not in Kansas anymore.
Welcome to Moebanshee's Lair, Visionary Talk Radio on GCR Progressive Internet Radio. We're rocking your world. Okay, welcome to Moebanshee's Lair, Visionary Talk Radio on GameConRadio.com. This is my first night. I'm actually running the show. And Matt's behind me, the tech, and he's pointing out things that I forget. So please bear with me. This is my first time checking a show. I hope everybody is well. We're going to be bringing on Stan in a few minutes, and we are still waiting on Carl to show up. Carl's missing in action. I understand we're going to probe Stan tonight. They wanted a probing show, so Stan, you're the only guy here, so you're getting probed. But we've got some crazy but news. Not so crazy but news is I'm alarmed. I'm actually very, very, very upset at the amount of animal abuse cases coming forward. Everything from New Jersey last week, an 8-year-old dog or something like that was matted so horribly, its feet were burned and stuff from its own urine, and it's fighting for its life. And the Tinton Falls veterinarians, I cannot say enough for those people out there. They are amazing. They are an emergency veterinary hospital. They take all the cases that Central Jersey brings in for animal abuse, and they really do try to save these animals. They do what's in the best interest of the animal, but the animal is coming around. It was able to stand up on its own, so its name is Sandy. God bless it. The people who own Sandy are the people who pretended to rescue it and bring it to the veterinarian. And anyway, they're in big trouble. But there's more. Another dog was dragged last week behind a car and is fighting for its life. Animal abuse isn't something people don't see. Somebody knows something, and if you know something about animals being abused or neglected, please, it's your obligation as a human being to report this stuff. So please report animal abuse and neglect. These animals did nothing to deserve what people are doing to them, and I don't know why people have become what they are, and why they've reduced themselves to this kind of horrible action to take animals and just hurt them. I think it's unconscionable. But a 22-year-old man was recreating a stunt that's pretty popular on the internet. And Kyle Lee Stocking of West Jordan and 5 of his friends hiked to the Corona Arch in southeastern Utah on Sunday, and they attempted to use a cord and like swing through the 104 sandstone arch there. And he made a miscalculation. His rope was too long, so when he jumped off the top, instead of swinging under the arch, he hit the ground. This is why math is important, kiddies. We always think to ourselves, we're never going to need what we're learning in school. Everybody thinks that, but the reality is, if you're not able to figure out that you need something shorter than 140 feet to go underneath a 140-foot tall sandstone arch, then there's something wrong with you. But he died, and we're very sorry he's dead. But it's one of those things that you sit there and you say, what the heck was he thinking? You know, these kids go and do this stuff, and they don't ever think, you know, what they're doing is going to hurt them. But I think that probably if he had done better in math, he might not have done so badly with the stunt. Don't do stuff you see on YouTube. Usually those people know what they're doing. Some of them don't. I don't think anybody was filming him. If they did, it's not on YouTube yet. CNN reported that people are paying upwards of $6,000 for substitutes to hold their places on the lines for the Supreme Court hearings on the California ban on gay marriage. Evidently, this is a very important issue for some people, so important they will pay someone $6,000 to stand in line in the rain and the cold and the terrible weather. You've got to stand in front of your issue, said Aaron Black, 39, who came from New York with a group of same-sex marriage supporters on a bus. Pointing to the Supreme Court's columned front, Mr. Black said, frankly, the issue is right there. On the Supreme Court building, it says equal justice under law. Well, maybe it's important for Aaron to stand, but others are paying $6,000 for somebody to hold their place. The way it works is the majority of tickets are held for people with special connections. Somebody that's a member of the Supreme Court bar, a journalist guest, somebody's a justice guest. Then they have like 100 seats that are reserved for those who stand in line or pay someone to stand in line. If you've got $6,000, I'll stand in line for you. I'll get my little, scooter, and I'll just sit on my scooter for you in the crappy weather. A lot of people were saying it was terrible weather, and they were really upset by that. But just think, you got $6,000 in the bank if you did it for the money. So there, you see, this whole thing is making money. It's not only the people selling the weird signs. People are making money holding seats. And say it isn't so. All the booze and drugs ingested since the turn of the century, now they're just linking DNA damage to brain damage. Normal brain activity linked to DNA damage. Evidently, they're finding in the strands of DNA some inconsistencies and breaks, and while some breaks are normal, others are contributed to genetic DNA damage that has been done. I guess, I feel this way. The body can only take so much abuse before it starts passing it down the genetic tree. Your father was a drunk, your grandfather was a drunk, or they were drug users or whatever. Eventually it's going to catch up with the family tree, and the nuts that get shook out are liable to be damaged. So in order to try to stop this, I would suggest people start straightening their lives out, But I'm surprised that scientists have just caught on to that. I was told right away, if you're going to have children, don't drink and do drugs because, it'll hurt the babies. You hurt your body, and your body is carrying the babies. I guess my mother was only talking to me, and I was the only one listening. And Galveston, Texas. Officials say a vial containing a virus that can cause hemorrhagic fever has gone missing from the research facility in Galveston. And they say there's no reason for the public to think it's a threat, because by the time somebody gets around to doing whatever they're going to do to it, they think that it'll be destroyed. And so they're not terribly worried about it. Let's just hope somebody didn't get it that knows what they're doing with it, But evidently, during the lab's cleaning process, the vial went missing, and it's got a virus in it, and it's native to Venezuela, and it's transmitted only through contact with Venezuelan mice or this vial. And it's not believed to be able to survive in U.S. rodents, but I guess nobody's tested it yet, and they don't think it can be transferred person to person. But if you see anybody running around with a vial of something that has a big red X on it, you might want to report them to the FBI, CIA, something like that, whatever. And that's crazy but news, and I gotta tell you, it's as crazy as it gets. We're supposed to bring Stan on, and I'm gonna try to figure out how to do this, so please bear with me. Okay? Yeah, I know I'm talking. Okay, I'm gonna call Stan. Let's see if I can bring him on. Do 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 do.
Hey, Mo.
Hey, welcome. So, what are we talking about tonight, there, Stan?
Wait a minute. I hear somebody doing doo-doos.
That's me. Remember the old timer? Remember the old timer that we used to have with the game shows? Do 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 do. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You sure?
All right. I'm trying. Am I here now?
Stan, turn your volumes. Turn off your volume.
All right.
I can hear you. Okay, so what are we talking about tonight? Probing?
Man, there's a big delay.
A big delay?
Yeah, we could talk about probing if you want to.
Your turn first. Do you want me to try to call you again?
Yeah, call me again.
Okay, let me try calling you again. Let's try this again. See, this is why I do this way, because I have never done this before, so. Well, I already started, so I'm going to call now, and that's why I didn't want a guest on this week, because I wanted to. No. So Matt says he doesn't think we're going to be able to change the delay.
Okay.
Hello? Stan?
This could be very interesting.
This could be. Matt says he doesn't think you're going to be able to change the delay. I don't know why. Okay, what do you want to do there? Well, we're going to talk about probing, and I'm going to let Stan see if he can sort his problems. The whole thing with the probing is, of course, alien abduction. It's Easter. Everybody talking about, all the television channels, the sci-fi and all of that. They're all talking about how angels are actually ET. And this is a theory that's gone back to Aleister Crowley from 1904. It's not a new theory. It's been kicked around the block, and my whole argument with ET was angels and all of that, and my problem basically, somebody help Pookie out so she can get sound. Basically, my problem with ET being angels or even coming to see us is what is the purpose? They're not doing anything to help us. They're not doing anything to hurt us. They're just kind of what they are. They're just kind of, sitting in space and they're doing whatever. And we were supposed to kick this around with Stan, but Stan's having trouble.
He said call him again. You think he has it fixed?
Okay, let's try it again. Up. Sorry. Hello, hello, hello. No.
Hello, is this any better?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, I hear you too.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good. Matt's got an idea. He says, let's see. So what do you think? Are angels actually ET?
Me?
Yeah.
I think there's a good chance.
Yeah, really?
I mean, oh yeah, you look back at the stories of Elijah and the chariots in the air. I think it's a good chance of that.
Well, let me ask you you something. Do you think it's a possible ET is angels, meaning that what we are assuming are extraterrestrials coming from other planets are actually heavenly beings coming here? Or do you think that the extraterrestrials coming are being mistaken for angels?
Now, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, seriously.
What you think, not what you...
Well, what I think? I think with God, anything is possible. And that the angels are under his control. And that it's very, very possible that, angels did come, sent by God. It's also possible that what early man perceived as angels came also. So that's kind of where I am. I mean, it's pretty ambiguous, but that's it.
Yeah, you see, my whole problem with, when people say, well, extraterrestrials are coming here and they're, okay, let's go to the probe word, okay? Because you guys like that,
Oh, yeah. Ghost and I both we both like the probe.
I know it. You guys are hung up
but
on
it's,
probe.
it's just a guy thing.
Yeah, I know. And Teddy's got a friend who had rectal cancer. Okay, I'm going to share a little story with everybody. And we were at a luncheon, and so everybody was talking about their medical problems and all. And so he says, my doctor's getting pretty good, and so his wife says, I don't know why you like to go to him. He says, well, he can probe me now, but keep both his hands on my shoulders. And his wife just sat there and looked at him, and she says, you're sick.
I love it. Mo, the last time I went in for a checkup. Yeah, the last time I went in for a checkup, they said, we're not doing that anymore. That causes more harm than good.
It can't be good for you. It's an outshoot. Doesn't anybody catch this? Everything
exactly.
Is supposed to come out. Nothing's supposed to go in there.
No. I mean, it's it's like I spent all these years shopping for a doctor with small fingers, and then they do this.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible, but really, my whole thing is, why are they doing all this probing? I mean, if they're that clever and they can come all this galaxies far, far away, light years away, and they can come here, what the heck do they need to probe guys for, and take all kinds of things from? I mean, one would think they were brilliant enough to have this all covered. They don't have to go out to the middle of Indiana in a cow pasture and kidnap some poor farmer, and have their way with them.
Maybe they're like the creature on Father Ted. Maybe they've got, instead of a mouth, they've got like 4 arses. And that's why they probe people.
Okay.
And a wheel on the side for grinding.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I understand angels, and I understand the biblical reference to angels, and I understand God has his angels who are his workforce. They're his CBs, man. They're the ones that do the dirty work. I don't understand ET coming here from galaxies and galaxies away and picking up cows and cutting their guts out and dropping them in the middle of trees and stuff like that. But Mo, they only cut the cows' butts off. I mean, these ETs, they're fascinated with the arse. I know, which makes me wonder what exactly their problem is up there. But like I say, we're talking about, and I hate to use the movie. The movie is a great movie, Independence Day, where Will Smith says, I don't think E.T. came all these millions of light years just to get all rowdy with us,
Yep.
I just don't get them coming here at all. when we had Stanton Friedman on, who is an incredible scientist, and I says, Stan, what do you think they're coming here for? And he says, I don't know, maybe they like the pizza. You know, I thought that was a pretty good answer by comparison to probing people and taking genetic swabs out of people's belly buttons and stealing eggs to harvest and that kind of thing. And when they say, well, they say really, and it's that guy with the crazy hair, and I'm brain dead because tonight I'm taking my first show and I'm really nervous about this. The guy with the crazy hair on Sci-Fi Channel all the time. Everything is it's extraterrestrials. Angels were extraterrestrials. Huh?
Derek?
Yeah, whoever he is. The guy.
Yeah, Mary loves Dick. Derek?
No.
Oh, not that one. All right.
He is a scientist. This is a scientist on all the History channels and Sci-Fi channels and all, and he says, you know, that everything is due to extraterrestrials. All the signs in the pyramids, you know, God, you know, man couldn't possibly make those pyramids. Why not? What if they actually built a big, huge, giant pit? Okay, let's talk about building pyramids.
Yeah. Okay.
Instead of pushing the blocks up the hill
Mm-hmm.
to the top, let us say they dug down into this big pit, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then they slid the blocks down into place.
Ooh.
Okay, and while they're doing this, they're clearing away trees and everything else that's in the area because they're using this to slide these blocks into place. And then
Mm-hmm.
once they have this pyramid built, they just level the ground, dig around it, and make the ground, you know, the same thing. And now you got the Valley of the Kings, and you got the pyramid there, and everybody's happy. You know, why do we have to believe that they couldn't think of this, and they needed E.T. to come and show them how to move these blocks?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Never thought about that.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Myself, there's no way I'm pushing some 300,000-pound block. It's not happening up a hill. But
No. So you push it down, and then you excavate thousands and thousands of tons of dirt. I mean, that's possible,
you know
because they can all put a little bit of dirt in their pocket.
That's right, just like the Shawshank Redemption, you know?
Exactly.
Put the stuff
Yeah.
in his pocket, walked around and dumped it out in the middle of the courtyard. Yeah. of
And
course.
you don't even
they
need a
had
good poster for that.
No, and they had thousands of slaves, so I mean, they all could put a little bit of dirt in their pocket and walk it around, you know? And,
Right,
and
exactly.
in about 100,000 years, it would dissipate. Yeah. Sure.
It'd all level out. I mean, one good sandstorm over there, and that would probably have taken care of it.
Really, if you want to get technical, yeah. But this would also explain why this area that was supposedly a forest before had become a desolate desert, because they completely waylaid. They took all the trees out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know. So this is like what's it? Stonehenge. Nobody ever stands there and says. Nobody ever says. Maybe there was a wooden roof on it, because you know what? If you look at it, all the trees around it are gone.
Yeah.
Why couldn't there have been a wood? Why does any of this have to do anything with ET and extraterrestrials coming down? And really, if they're that advanced, what the heck are they doing teaching them how to use tinker toys and blocks?
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Stonehenge is still a remarkable calendar.
It is, and that's cool, but why did it necessarily, a lot of people think that it was given to the, whoever by extraterrestrials. Why,
The Druids? The Druids? That's a question for
why
Ghost.
couldn't, yeah, see?
And speaking of Ghost,
here, and
where the hell is that fecker?
He's missing. He's missing in action. What are we doing on time? You know what I'm gonna do? The first song we're gonna play tonight is it's gonna be a bit long, and it's gonna be Ted Neely, Gethsemane, and it's like 5 minutes long. So I'm gonna cut away to the commercial and the song, and I want everybody to pray really hard for me so that we can do this right, okay? So
You're going to do it right. Hey, Mo, do me a favor and see if Blondie wants to come in and talk.
Okay, we're going to go to the commercial.
Hey, little girl, what would you do for a Klondike bar?
And welcome back to Moebanshee Lair. I'm learning.
Mo, you're doing a good job.
The next one on this, right? Okay. I'm doing the best I can.
No, you're doing great.
It's going to take a couple of weeks. It's going to take a couple of weeks, I think, and I'm real nervous about this stuff. But yeah. So anyway, probing. So what do you think the deal is with probing? And I don't know where Carl is. I wish I did know.
Yeah, I think they just like butt. No, really, I'm serious. I think the aliens just like,
Well, they like rump roasts on cows or something?
Yeah, well, that's true.
That's true, yes. I never thought of it that way. They're just stealing the backs of the cows. Well,
Exactly.
You look at this stuff where, like, the fields where the cow mutilations, they take all their, and thank you, Blondie, and thank you, Pookie, and thank you, Anita, and thank you, Stan, for supporting me, because I'm really shaking right now.
Nah, Mo, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to probe you.
Okay.
It's a safe zone.
No, nobody probes me. That's one place I don't go. Teddy had to have a probe done to him, and he said, "Let Captain Kirk go where no man's gone before, because he ain't going there again." He says, "I'll die first."
When I had mine done, they told me after I came out that, man, you're a big talker.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, I was just chatting my head off while I was under.
Oh, Teddy wasn't out all the way. And I had said to him, I said, and it was in big black marks on this thing, do not give him, what is it, Demerol? Yeah, don't give him Demerol. He becomes like Superman, okay, when he gets Demerol. And so I'm sitting in this waiting room, and a nurse comes up and says, "Can you come with us?" And I'm like, uh-oh. I mean, Teddy wasn't a kid. He was in his 70s,
Yeah,
and
but
so
all he
I'm
has
like,
to do is fart a lot. I mean, that's just the way it works.
Yeah. So I go in, and there he is, butt naked with his rear end hanging out, and he is strapped down with all kinds of big belts. And the doctor looks at him and says, "Is this the woman who made you come?" And Teddy lifted his head. He looked at me and he says, "That's the bitch." And I looked at them and I said, "You gave him codeine, or what do you call it?
Put him back under. Put him back under.
Demerol." And they said, "Oh, yes, we did." I says, "Did you not read his paper?" I mean, right there on the table is his folder, and it's got "do not give," the stuff to him, the Demerol. And they said, "Well, we thought it would be okay because we didn't want to knock him all the way out because of his age." I says, "Knock him out. What the?
That's funny. That's funny.
Do with them now?"
I had one of those when I was younger, and they didn't knock me out, and it was awful.
It was awful. He was so nasty, and he was cursing at me, and he says, when I get you, I'm going to pound the crap out of you. And I'm looking, I says, knock him out. Knock him out, because it's going to take 5 hours before he comes out of this.
I love it.
And they said,
I love it. There was one, the one I had where the doctor says, tell me if it hurts, or the nurse was looking to see if I hurt. And they were, just pumping air like crazy. Mm-hmm. And I said, stop it. Please, stop it.
Tilt, it's full. It's full.
It's full. It's full. Safety word, Armageddon.
Well, there was some words said when he finally started coming down, which they had him tied down for a good 4 hours. And then he was like, what the hell hit me? And I'm like, they gave you, the Demerol. And they were like, he's like, well, they're not supposed to give me Demerol. I says, I know this. I know this. But they did make me feel better, because they did find 2 polyps that were very questionable, and they said it was really good that he had it done, and they said, and you should come back in 1 year, and he said, in layman's terms, that they could do the probing on themselves. And he said, like Captain Kirk, go where no man's gone before, I'm not coming back.
When I had one of those, they found like one little polyp, and it was no big deal. No big deal at all. Yeah. But the best stories came from the doctor. And the doctor told me about, how you drink you drink the crap beforehand, which makes you, just cleans out your system. And the doctor says, drink clear liquids. Well, he told me about this one lady that came in, and she had drunk clear liquids, but it was mostly vodka the night before.
Smart girl.
Oh yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. I got a funny doctor's thing. It didn't happen to me. It happened to Teddy's ex-wife, so I'm going to share it.
All right. Fair game.
But they were in she was going to have a baby, so they were in the gynecologist's office, and the gynecologist comes out hysterical, and evidently this woman used tissue to wipe her private. And she had a green stamp on it. And back then, remember the green stamps and the plaid stamps and all you got at the gas stations and all.
Oh, yeah, Gun Brothers.
And the doctor took it off, and he says, did you want to redeem it? And she just got up and put her clothes on and stomped out the door in front, and everybody was dying laughing, because he just couldn't help it.
She could have gotten a free vacuum cleaner.
She could have. Maybe there was something in a refund. Maybe.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't ever use tissues in your pocketbook or your pocket to wipe anything. You don't know where it's been. Honest to God, I don't know. So getting back to cow mutilations and stuff like that, when it first started happening, and reports in the 70s were coming out, and Teddy and I looked at each other and we said, what the hell? Why would these beings come all these ways and then take a cow's reproductive organs out? And
right,
Teddy
or their anus.
It sounds like some cowboy who's been out in the field too long, and they're getting their jollies off that way or something. He says, because it doesn't make sense for extraterrestrials to come this far. Just take the whole damn cow and eat it. Why just take that part? So have you had any mutilations out there by you?
No. None that I can confirm.
Oh, only out by New Mexico, by Roswell, this happens?
I'm not sure, Mo. I think it, I did read that it happened out west. And, of course, anything can happen out west. I mean, men are men, sheep are afraid.
They shake.
Yeah. God, where's Ghost?
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know where Ghost is. He's tardy, and I'm not going to love him anymore. I don't know.
Oh, he'll be upset by that.
Yeah.
I mean, he might even come in and try to kill you.
How's the weather out there?
Pretty good today. And I think we got past our last blast of winter, which came very late for this time of year. For northeast Oklahoma, we were supposed to get snow over the weekend. We didn't, thank God. And it's going to warm up a little bit, slowly.
Yeah, we've had a lot of rain. A lot of the day before, actually yesterday, right? It was rain, sleet, snow, rain, sleet, because we're on the water. So that's the norm for us, actually. You know, if we get a lot of snow, that's different for us, you know, when we go out and there's a ton of snow. When you go in maybe 10, 15, 20 miles, yeah, they get more snow than we do. But the norm for us with this kind of thing, but it was miserable yesterday. And then they said, well, today the sun was going to come out, but the sun didn't really come out. It just made appearances, and we all clapped and said, oh, there it is. It's still there. And then it went back in. But it has been just windy, unbelievably windy. And everybody with allergies is dying.
Yeah, same here. We had a big wind a couple of days ago, and the trees are budding here. Stuff is starting to grow because it's that time of year. But, man, I'll tell you, my allergies have gone nuts. And this is the first time in probably 3 or 4 years that it's done that. What should I say, Mo? It is it's a big spring.
Yeah, if you really think about it, Anita's saying she had spitting snowflakes, and Blondie says they had rain today, a nice change from the snow. If you really think about it, the Northeast has been, where we are, we've been getting killed by storms since the hurricane October 29th.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't gone a week without getting a really bad storm. It's stopped everything, the fixing of the boardwalks and the houses, and it's just stopped everything because they can't work in the lousy weather. You know, they can't have the power tools going and all. So this has been a really long winter. It's been a really long winter.
It has been. And what do they say about Easter? If it rains on Easter, it's supposed to be like 5 more weeks of rain?
Oh, Jesus, don't say that.
Oh, yeah, well, that's, just an Oklahoma saying. I mean, it's just, who knows what us Okies know?
No.
Not much.
No. Yeah. No, I don't think I could handle that. Actually, we were going to go yesterday and open the camper until we heard about the storm, get it open and air it out and start getting the stuff out, and so you can use it when you want to in the end of April, And I looked at Andrew, he's, oh yeah, let's do it, I says it's going to be snowing, and he says, oh, I don't care, I'll do it. Well, you can go do it. I'm not doing it in the snow. Are you out of your mind, It's not that important, but we didn't go, and the way the week is shaping up, I'm not sure we're going to make it at all because it's just going to be a crappy week.
When I was a kid, Mo, the big deal here was in the spring cleaning out the storm cellar. Making sure there were no snakes down there, all that kind of stuff, so you could go down there into the hidey hole. And we thought that was so much fun until we figured out what tornadoes could do.
Yes. Yeah, you guys, I used to say I like New Jersey. We don't have tornadoes, but we had like 3 or 4 of them this year. So
they're fun.
I'm happy. Yeah, they're fun. I mean, I've been in them, but I thought I had moved away from them when I came back home to the east,
But Mo, whenever the tornado warnings go off here, we all go outside and look around and go, where is it? Where is it? I'd like to see one. And, to this day, and I'm not a spring chick, but, it's, I've never seen one.
Yeah, I saw one actually when I was out in California. And, I'm sitting there looking because I'd never seen one before. So I'm like, wow, this is so cool. And it's so cool because I was right on the water there, and it's getting bigger and it's getting bigger and it's getting bigger. And the rest of the people are saying, don't you think we should get out of here now? And I'm like, this is so cool. This is just
now watch it.
Let's watch it.
The odds of getting hit by a tornado are about like, the odds of being hit by a tornado are about like winning the lottery. I mean, it might happen, but it is so much fun to look at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. It was. At first, they're saying it's a dirt devil, and I'm like, okay, because when you're in a military, base and all this, you've got all kinds of people there. You know what I'm saying? You got all kinds of people from all over the country and we had a lot of people from the South there. And they're saying, that's a dirt devil, that ain't nothing. But then it kept getting bigger, and I'm like, this is cool, let's watch, And it was getting bigger, and they started moving away, and I'm like, gee, do you think, what, is this bad? Yeah, well, it's getting big. Yeah, it ain't a dirt devil no more, let's get out of here. Mother Nature is extreme, and she is amazing, and when she gets pissed off, there is no way of holding her back at all.
Oh, she's very arbitrary.
Yes, she is. So anyway, I was looking up the cattle mutilation things, and
all right.
Alamos, Colorado, 1967 was the first alleged strange death of livestock. So it was out in Colorado. And they named it Snippy, the name of another horse on the ranch, which stuck. But the real name of the animal was Lady. And then September 7th of that year, Agnes King and her son Harry noted Lady, the 3-year-old horse, had not returned to the ranch. And
what'd they do to Lady?
I don't know. I'm looking. They found her. Her head, neck had been skinned and defleshed, and the bones were white and clean. To King, the cuts on Lady seemed to have been very precise. There was no blood at the scene.
Coyotes.
And there was a strong medical odor in the air. And
coyotes
that's Michael.
Coyotes with medicine.
Yeah, coyotes with medicine. So anyway, when they found a lump of skin and horse flesh, and when they touched it, greenish fluid burned her hand. And so that was the first one that started the whole thing. So after that, I guess people just needed to up it, so they went out and cut all their cows' genitals out. Yeah. That seems to be the one that kicked it into high gear, just like crop circles. What the heck is it with crop circles?
I don't know. I've got some land and I grow crops. And if somebody went out and stomped a circle into my crops, I'd be highly PO'd.
Well, let me ask you, aren't these extraterrestrials bright enough to tap into our cell phones or our cable systems or our satellites? I mean, they come all this way.
They tap into Sam. They tap into Sam. That's they tap into Sam. That is their entry point.
Yeah. So what they do is they come here all this way and they say, we need to talk to them. We need to impart some wisdom on them. So we're going to go to some poor farmer's, field, and we're going to stomp out half of his crops for next year.
Exactly. They go out and they stomp a big dick into the, They go out and they stomp a big thing into the, into the field. because they are creative people, Mo.
Yeah, they are. But so many people are clinging on to this. It was extraterrestrials. And when you look at them and say, why the heck would anyone have to resort to that? You know, if they're coming millions of light years, why wouldn't they just call us on the cell phone and say, we're here? Or, oh, by the way, this is going to happen. We're giving you a heads up. You know, why wouldn't they do that instead of these he said that for real, Pookie.
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry.
He did. He said He said it.
I said the D word.
Yeah, crop circles. You know, everybody, there's a lot of people who sit there and say crop circles are extraterrestrials giving us messages and this and that and the next thing. And I want to know why. Why would these intelligent beings have to
with small feet?
That kind? Yeah, really. I mean, it would take like 900 of them to do some of those things.
Exactly.
They're so tiny. They're so tiny, and they're little and green and blue, and they probably wear a size 2 shoe or astronaut boot or whatever the heck they wear,
Right.
And you got them out there. Talk about slave labor. What do? They make them put the board down, and they gotta, lay all this stuff down perfectly, So it's got to take a lot of them to do that. It's terrible. It's just terrible. I think these poor, what are they? They're greenies and grayies and all this. They really should get a union going because they're really getting the crappy jobs. They got to mutilize cattle. They got to stomp down cornfields. I mean, they really should get unionized, really.
Mo, there is nothing else that we can say about this except it's alien abuse. And somebody is abusing the heck out of these people.
Yes, they are. They are.
Peopleettes.
Where's the Democrats? Where's the Democrats? Get the Democrats in on this.
That'll be the next case before the Supreme Court.
Yes. See, that's today. I was on Skype today, and Stan is a very learned man in law, and I'm just an Irish immigrant. And I'm like, wait a minute. I need to understand how this whole thing that's going on in Washington right now is set up. And he tried to help me. And I think I understand it, but I think most of the people that are standing out there with their signs have no clue what this is really about in Washington. So it's let's get the Democrats in on it, and they can have a Supreme Court hearing and find out if ET needs to unionize and get maybe a welfare check because they're being forced to make crop circles.
Or the Westboro Baptist Church people. They've got a pretty firm grasp on things.
Yeah, they do. It's all wrong, but
yeah, it is. It is.
But they got a grasp on something,
But they believe what they say, apparently.
Well, that's because they're too dense to think of anything new, So whatever they're taught is what they're going to believe, Personally, I don't have a problem with anybody getting married. I don't have a problem with anybody having children as long as the children are raised well and loving. And if you're going to ask me who I have a bigger problem with, drug addicts having children, I have a big problem with.
I would too. But Mo, if gays want to get married, why shouldn't they have to put up with the same crap that the rest of us do? I mean, it's only fair.
It is. It's only fair, and that was something I spoke about today too. One thing, I have a lot of gay friends, and when they break up, they don't have to pay lawyers thousands and thousands of dollars to get rid of the moron.
Yes.
Yeah. And in a conventional marriage, to get loose, you've got to pay a lawyer upwards of $10,000 just to get the jerk out of the house. I
say lawyers, kill them all.
Yeah, so let
Wait a
everybody
minute.
get
Wait a
married.
minute. Kill them all except me.
Yeah, everybody get married. Everybody, because this is only good for the economy. Lawyers are gonna make out like bandits, or well, they already do, but they're really gonna do well. This is gonna increase a lot of divorce cases and stuff. You see, heterosexual couples are not getting married because they don't want to deal with the divorce part. So they'd rather live together now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The gays don't know how good they've had it.
Yeah, that's true.
They really don't know how good they've had it, because really, they say, well, it's because of insurance. And my insurance is costing me almost $500 a month for our insurance. That's a lot of money,
It cost me that much for being a single person.
Right. I mean, it's not insurance isn't cheap, and
I'm in good health.
Guarantees. Yeah, there's no guarantees that they're going to carry you, and all you have to do is get sick, and there's some clause that says, well, this was something already there, or, gee, you smoked. Teddy goes to the VA every couple of months for a checkup, and they always ask the same thing. When's the last time you smoked? And he says 36 years ago. Really? Do we have to keep going through this? Do we have to keep going through this? Are you going to deny him care because he slipped a cigarette?
Yeah, 36 hours ago. Try that.
Yeah, but yeah, this thing in Washington, I think this is just a circus at this point, and I think the health care thing is a circus, and I think there are people that are just screaming and they have no idea what they're screaming about. That's why I wanted to ask Stan today exactly what it is that is being heard. So explain to them what's being heard in Washington. What is this actually that the Supreme Court is deciding?
Okay, well, the what the Supreme Court is dealing with now, at least one of the few things they're dealing with, is California's Proposition 8, which was the result of a public election in 2008, which purported to ban gay marriage. Now, California had allowed that before, I believe. Now, the big question, or at least the big question that the talk radio guys talk about, is states' rights versus the national. But the thing to keep in mind is when these cases go before the Supreme Court, they're only trying to decide whether or not the particular state's statute or law was constitutional. And if it turns out to be not constitutional, then in that state, it goes back to another referendum, or it gets overturned and the state just ignores it and just goes on and, does somebody introduces legislation to make gay rights legal. Now, I'm not going to take a position. Well, I've already said that I think gay people probably ought to get married because, why not let them share the misery with the rest of us? But that's kind of the the key to what the Supreme Court does. I mean, they are the court of last resort. So anything that goes before the Supreme Court is not a matter of making national law. It's a matter of interpreting the Constitution.
Okay, we're going to go to break. Then on a happy note, it's a matter of interpreting the Constitution. So we're going to go to break, and we're going to be right back, and I'm going to try to swim through another break, okay? And I press this.
This is Mo, inviting you to listen to Moebanshee's Lair, Visionary Talk Radio on GameConRadio.com. We have a new time slot. We start at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, 6 Pacific, and in the UK, we start at 2 a.m. on Wednesday mornings. From A to Z, authors to zoology, we have the best guests, the best topics. I invite you to come and visit us. We're always fun. Moebanshee's Lair on... And we're back with GameCon Radio. Actually, it's GCR Radio now.
Juicy.
And whatever it is. And I have to do this, right? And
Good to go. Don't
this
load it.
okay. This is good to go. Okay, so hopefully in 2 weeks I will have this down to a science. Carl is missing in action, and I'm really upset about that because I wanted him to get on to the conversation about EVPs and all the ghost boxes and all of that stuff, and because he just loves that topic. He uses colorful words when he talks about all the different stuff that the new teams are using to
Colorful, like it's a pile of crap.
Yes, and bollocks. That's another one that he uses a lot. And feckin', and
I love my brick.
I love my brick. Father Ted. I love my brick, and then he hits Father Ted in the head with the brick.
Yep.
Yes. So, I wanted to get him on to talk about EVPs because collecting audio is nothing new. This is something that's been going on since the first. Thomas Edison tried to collect audio of spirits. I guess the closer you get to God, the more you want to know if he's going to answer you, So Thomas Edison actually was trying to collect it. As soon as they realized they could record sound, people said, well, maybe we can record ghosts. So it's nothing new. It's just that it doesn't work. There's nothing reliable.
No.
There's no reliable way to say, yes, that's a spirit talking to us. And one of I had been talking to this one individual who said that, and it's funny because it's Thomas Edison. They were saying to me they had a ghost box, and Thomas Edison answered them. And I says, well, where were you doing this? And they said it was in their bathroom in South Jersey. And I kind of laughed. It says, what is Thomas Edison worried about going in your bathroom to talk to you people for? I mean, just that on its own is a ludicrous premise, okay? If they're going to talk, they don't talk through a wormhole where they sit in his office in Orange, New Jersey, where his factory was, and then he's talking, and somehow somebody in New Jersey hears it, down by the shore. The ghost boxes scan frequencies, and you're a radio person, so you understand what I'm saying. At any given moment, there are millions and millions and millions of waves out there carrying audio, and what is the chances? You say, is anybody out there? You're not going to get a yes. That might seem like an answer.
I don't think, Mo, that the chances of getting a yes are all that possible. But you're right. I mean, there are tons of radio frequencies out there, and they go from down to direct current up to past light waves. And so, interestingly enough, that's kind of how I think about dimensions. We're all like radio receivers tuned to receive a certain frequency. I mean, we see what our eyes see, but what's to say that move it up just a little bit, that there might be another whole bunch over there?
Well, here's the thing. We made a hack shack. Brian did. Okay, so he's got this hack shack thing going. And he says, is anybody here? And we hear yes. Now, you've got police scanners. You've got all kinds of shortwave stuff going on. You've got, well, out here there aren't so many, but out in the Midwest you've got the shortwave radios going and everything. There's a really good chance you're going to catch something, even if we said, is there anybody out there? And they said, Bob. Oh, yeah. Bob is there. Bob answered,
But these EVP things, I mean, this is all just, it's all just hype on on technology, the ability to record digitally, and then to play back the digital recording and see it on the screen. Now, with any kind of, heck with the audio processing I've got, I could purport to pull up some voice, but is it there? No, I don't think so.
I mean, I don't use anything I have to go out and say, see, there's ghost. I really don't care if anybody believes me or not. That's not my job. My job is to comfort people and get them past that fear of having a spirit in the house, And so I'm not in it like these people on TV or Carl. He's into it he wants answers. He wants answers that he can prove.
He does.
And I don't care. I'm not here to prove. You see, that's a ghost voice. I do have some awesome audio, and most people don't believe it is what it is, But when I listen to it, it's for a totally different reason. I'm using it to get to an answer with the person. The one case we had where the husband was scratching stuff and trying to make her get out, we got a clear audio, and it was "She's My Sister" on it. And the thing is, her sister had died 3 years ago of cancer. And the sister hated the husband. And I said out loud, I said, you can't be scaring them here. If somebody's here to scare, I says, I take it you don't like, her husband. And the audio came back and said, but she's my sister. And that I didn't take and run and put all over the internet, because that's not what I use it for. I played it for the client. And her mother and her sat there, and I said, this is what I have. And I played it right then and there. And they were, oh my God, it's my sister, And I said, we ended up proving that the husband was doing everything.
Right.
And yeah, she's got a ghost there. She probably got a couple of ghosts there, but that's not the problem. The ghosts are frustrated with what's going on with the husband too, because he wanted the wife to move to New York City, and she doesn't want to move to New York. She's down with her mother, and she's happy, and she's trying to start a new life, and he wants to go back to the old one. And so there's that tug of war there, and there was a bunch of stuff going on, and she was being scared. And there's another case with technology. Does anybody have a key to your house? No, when we have an electronic guard thing, where you have to have the code and all. And I says, well, who's got the code? Oh, only my mother has it. Well, how do you get in when your mother's not here? Well, I have it too. I says, and you don't think your husband has it. Why? Well, we didn't give it to him, but he's with you when you're pressing it in.
Yeah.
When you come in from someplace, he's watching you press it in. So what is there not to say that his girlfriend isn't in the house when you come in knocking stuff down? You go and look to check, and she sneaks out of the house. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that goes on with technology, and people put too much faith in the technology. They stop thinking for themselves. And EVPs are kind of the same thing. They stop thinking for themselves and saying, oh, I never get tired of this one. I don't want to prove they're a ghost. I just want to prove to the world. I want to show to the world there's something there. Well, that means, you want to prove there's ghosts, and you want to be famous. You want to be the person that actually proved it. And if UCLA and the Rhine Institute haven't pulled it off, buddy, I don't think you're going to pull it off either.
Welcome to the Shanley Hotel.
Really, it's just, there's the technology bit. And when we go in, and I use the cams. I do have cams, and we use video cameras. And they do help. They do help, catch stuff and everything. But basically, I know where everybody is. When
Mo, have you ever seen anything on a cam?
yeah, I've seen something, but it wasn't a spirit. What happened was Brian had set up a video cam in this
Right.
one room in Jean Bonnet.
Right.
And there was just Bob, Brian, and myself, okay, in the whole building, okay? And we went downstairs, and while we were down there, somebody tilted the camera up, then down, and to both sides, playing
Right.
with the camera.
Right.
We were the only 3 people in the whole building. So we didn't get something on it, but the behavior of the cam.
What do
Somebody
you think
was
about
playing
orbs?
with the orbs. Jesus, you know what? I asked Hans Holzer that. And, you know, back in the day, you thought, well, it was possibly a spirit passing,
Yeah.
and you know, you're just catching that little glimpse. 99% of it is just vapor, dust, light reflecting on something. Pet dander. Pet dander is like the #1 cause of orbs. You know, most of it can be totally just throw it out the window. Because
Yep.
most of the time, when somebody shows me a picture with an orb, it was never intended that they would take that picture looking for an orb. Do you know what I'm saying? They were taking
understand.
pictures at their prom. They were taking pictures of the baby's baptism. They were taking pictures of a party, a Christmas thing. You're tearing paper up. The kids have all these glitter dresses on. There's so much going on, so much in the air. How do you even look at an orb? But every now and again, I'll see something that makes me go, because it's all by itself.
I was looking
And
at a UK site one time, and the people online, excuse me, the people online were saying, "Oh, look at those orbs! Look at those orbs!"
Right.
But then you look into the hallway behind them, and there were people walking back and forth with camera lenses.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there is no dust-free area. So that's just the way it is. You know, so, you know, when people come to me and they say, "What do you think of this?" I'll tell them I wasn't there when the picture was taken. That's the first thing right off the bat. The other thing is, I don't know what was going, who was there. Everything has to back. If you've got one piece of evidence, you need 2 more to back it up. If you've got an orb, or you've got a shadow, or you've got something, you need audio, you need somebody there to say, well, you know, something brushed past me, and one person isn't evidence. When you have one person in a room and they say, hey, there was a shadow in this room, that's not evidence because nobody else saw it. So,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah, I
I'm
agree.
very cynical. I am very cynical. And to me, again, I am not in this to collect evidence and say, see, world, there's really ghosts. I really don't care if you believe it, you don't. I don't care if you've never seen a ghost. Although I have to tell you that most people, if they've never, ever seen anything that made them look again like, what the heck was that? I have to wonder, you know, how they go through life, because they must be very closed off in their heads, and nothing, they don't seem to see anything around them, you know.
Have you ever
Because
seen anything, Mo, that
everybody-
have you ever seen anything that you thought was a ghost?
I've seen a ghost. I've seen a spirit. I've seen a spirit. Teddy has seen spirits. He's seen a couple of spirits. And you know what? The one I saw looked just as solid as you or me. And if it hadn't been for me stopping and going, wait a minute, that was a nightgown running past the door in knitted slippers with not a with a ruffle, not lace at the bottom of it, I would have never, probably, I would have thought it was somebody. We were in Burroughs Mansion.
Yeah.
And I heard someone coming down the hallway. I had just been in the one back bedroom, and I brushed off. They have a canvas traveling case from, like, you know, 1800s. And I
Right.
took it and brushed the dust off the top of it, you know. And I opened it and I closed it, and then I walked in to get my gear out of the other room. I heard somebody coming down the hall, and I immediately thought it was going to be Brian, Andrew, Scott, one of them. And when I looked up to see who it was, a woman went past the door in a nightgown with a shawl around her, a nightgown going down to the floor, and white knitted slippers. And it clicked. You know, it takes a second for you to click and process it.
Right.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, did I just see what I saw? So I looked out, and you even see me on the cam looking out the door calling hello, and everybody else was downstairs. There was nobody upstairs at all with me. And I went in the room and I said, I didn't touch anything, I didn't break anything, I just dusted off the little what do you call it, you know? And it was fine. She didn't say anything, but it blew me away. So I went downstairs and I got a hold of John, you know, Al Savaline.
Right.
And I says, Al, I says, this Margaret Burroughs that people see, I says, she's wearing a nightgown with a shawl and she has white knitted slippers. And he smiled. He says, you saw her. I says, yes, I did. I says, she's tiny too. She's only a little over 4 foot tall. She's only as tall as my granddaughter. And you know, and she was like 18 years old when she died, you know. And she was cut across the chest by a British soldier, and she didn't die right away. She died months later because the wound just never healed properly, and she ended up dying. She was trying to stall the British soldiers while her husband John got out the back window and got away because they were trying to capture him for a trade-off. But I saw her as clear as day, you know?
Mo, is there... I didn't mean to interrupt you. There's a delay here, but is there a... What would you say is the most haunted place that you have ever investigated?
I don't know. I'm going to say the most residential, the place that has the most resident spirits right now. It's going to be a draw. I think it's probably going to be what is it? Mifflin, Fort Mifflin. I think the most residents. I think that the spirits in Gettysburg are a lot of reenactors who come and go, and I don't believe a lot of the original soldiers who died there are actually there. They all went home. They all woke up dead and said, "Well, I'm going home. You know, I'm not gonna stay in the middle of the field and just, you know, sit out in the field in the
So
rain
you think
and
it was
snow."
You think it was reenactors that you've been seeing?
I think there's a lot of reenactors that are there. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
When they pass away, and the reason is I was at the Battle of Monmouth in Freehold, New Jersey, and Teddy and I were there a week before the annual reenactment of the Battle of Monmouth with Washington and the British, and we did not realize that the reenactment was the next week, and it was the anniversary of it and all that jazz. We were walking up the hill, and I saw this young man walking up the hill. You know, I looked down to make sure I don't trip, and I glanced up, and there was a young man in a Union soldier's outfit trudging up the hill towards the visitor center. And I looked, and then I looked down, and I realized he was dressed like a soldier. He was maybe 20, something like that, shaggy hair, but it was definitely a Union soldier. It was a Civil War outfit. And I was stunned, and I stopped, and I said to Teddy, I says, "Did you see that guy?" And he says, "No." And I mean, this is only seconds. So unless he put a jet up his rear end and ran the other half mile up, we didn't see him anywhere, And I watched him going up, and he was on a mission. You could see he was trekking. And so I went up to the visitor center, and I asked them if they had any reenactors there, and they said, no, they're going to come in next week. And I said, why next week? And they said, well, that's the anniversary of the Battle of Monmouth. I says, this guy would be dressed like a Union soldier. And he says, if you're going to talk ghosts to us, I'm not talking to you. And he shut me down right away.
Really?
And so later on, I was talking to Al Savaline when I was at Barrows about what I had seen. And he says, are you sure it was a Civil War Union outfit? I says, yeah. He says, some years back, and it's quite a few years because they've had that for like 2 decades now. And
right.
He says, a reenactor who was dressed like a Civil War, they were reenacting like a Civil War battle. Reenactor, his gun misfired and killed him.
Really?
And he says the thing that you have to remember with these reenactors is that they don't always just do one time period. They might do all the time periods. And that's why I thought of Gettysburg, and I said, that makes sense. None of these soldiers are going to sit around in that field for 100, 200 years waiting like, what do we do? We're here, we're going to just sit in this field where we were killed. They're not going to do that. They're going to go home. So who are all these spirits that go back every year around the time of the battle? It would be reenactors who remembered it, or guys that survived it and went back every year as a remembrance, and then they die, and now they're dead, and they go back. They're on autopilot, and they go back, and that made a lot more sense to me because I don't find cemeteries terribly haunted. Nobody's going to sit on top of their grave. It's not like Our Town. Remember that old play, Our Town?
Oh yeah, I love that play.
Yeah. I love that play, right? Where they're all sitting on their tombstones and they're dead, and they talk about the town, and every time somebody dies, they go up and they're added to the cemetery and all that. That's not how it works. You die and you go home.
Man. I was hoping that was the way it worked.
You want to sit in a cemetery in lousy weather? Go ahead. Knock your socks off.
I love that play,
Disney
though.
World. Yes, that is an awesome play.
Yeah.
I'm going to Disney World. The Haunted
Wasn't
Mansion
that
has
Thornton Wilder?
I can't think of it. Yeah, I think so.
I think it was. It was.
It was an awesome play. I did it in high school, and it just was an awesome play.
Everybody, everybody did that in high school. Either that or Bye Bye Birdie. I mean, it was one of the two.
No. I wouldn't get caught doing that one. I wouldn't get caught doing that one. I didn't. Outside of Dick Van Dyke, I really didn't like the movie at all, or the play or anything else. So no. But we're going to go to break. I'm going to try to negotiate another break. It's the last one, and then we're going to come back, and you can ask me more about Ghost.
See if you can add Blondie.
Okay? She's not on my. I don't know if she's on my Skype. I'll check. Okay.
All right.
So
all right.
now I just press play, right?
This is Michelle Tomlinson, the Scream Queen, and I listen to GameCon Radio. Why? Because it rocks.
And welcome back. I I can't listen to that song anymore without thinking of that 70s show. The 70s shows with the magic brownies and Red and his wife and the neighbors. And he's going, hop, hop, pop, pop, hop, hop. Here comes Peter Cottontail. And he starts singing it. I cannot hear that song now without thinking of Red. That guy is such an awesome actor. It's not even funny. And when you think he was in RoboCop, he was the psychopath in RoboCop. Remember?
Yeah.
The guy that plays Red.
Yeah.
And then now he's a comedian. He was funny in that show. That 70s show. And the kids are looking at him saying, "Okay, what did you do with the car? Who did you sell it to?" And he says some name and he goes, "Here comes," and he starts singing Peter Cottontail all over again. That's great. I'm very disappointed with you, Red. You shouldn't sell people's things. They're talking to him the way parents talk. That has got to be one of the classic comedy bits that I really think I could see that over and over. There's not many shows that I think are that funny, but that one particular episode of that was great. The special brownies, and I had to play Peter Cottontail because Easter is coming and we're all children at hearts. So what else did you want to ask me about Ghost?
Mo, tell me about Zachary.
Zachary, oh my God, my first love. Oh my God.
Oh no, you're kidding. That old Fert.
Oh my God. John Zachary, he was a DJ who got himself a TV show as Roland the Undertaker, and
right.
Pretty soon they got him a show introducing horror movies, and I never had seen him really. I watched him Saturday nights, but then one night he was on What's My Line, and he was without makeup, and oh my God, my heart beats still. I fell in love with that guy. Oh, he didn't
just introduce movies. He used to actually interject himself into movies, didn't he?
Oh my God, he was hysterical. He would have a show like, say, Frankenstein, the original Frankenstein,
right,
where just before Boris Karloff walks in the door, and then Karloff turns around and there's the monster looking, and the camera would come away and there would be Zachary whittling, a piece of wood, and he'd say, "Hey Frank, how's it going? How's it hanging?" That kind
how's
of
it hanging, Frank?
How's it hanging?
Love it.
And our parents had no clue what we were watching because Danny had a TV. It was just a black and white, and I swear to God that the thing was only like 10 inches by 10 inches or something in this big huge wooden case that's TV, and we would watch this show. And Danny had this bed, and back then you didn't have the way beds are now. You had
right.
3 wooden slats that held the springs and the mattress up,
Right,
and
right.
so this one night we're watching Zachary, and the one corner of the bed, let loose, and the old man comes in and he starts screaming bloody blue murder because the rifleman was on out in the parlor, and he's saying, knock it off, and so we put the bed together and we get back in the bed and we're watching it and we're sitting real quiet because it's a scary movie, and all of a sudden and there's me, and Jenny is the baby, she's all of 4 years old or something, and Danny's like 12, I'm 8, something like that. We're all sitting in the bed watching this, and suddenly boom boom, 2 sides of the bed went down. And the old man comes in and he's screaming bloody blue murder and knock it off, I'm going to make you turn it off. So then he goes out, he don't help us, and this is a big heavy wooden bed. We get it all put together, we get back. By this time we've missed almost the entire movie, and all of a sudden the bed lets go one again, and the old man stands there. He's screaming at us. We put the one slot up. He says, now get in that bed and sit quiet. And we all sit down, and we're sitting there perfectly still, and the whole damn thing went down on the floor. And he just looked at us, and he just stared at us, and he walked out of the room. He said,
what have you kids been doing?
We weren't doing anything. It just kept breaking. But Zachary, he would have, he was popular with all the stars. Pat Boone loved him, and he would get any excuse to be on the show. And there was the one show where Pat Boone is evil. Singing a love song to a girl. He's singing a love song to a girl.
Pat Boone made his way on his grandfather and rode black artists to their death.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but that's my view, Pat.
That's not the story. But the story is that he's playing this guitar and this beautiful girl sitting there, and you see Zachary, and he's looking in the window like a peeping Tom. And she says,
that's what I remember about seeing the clips of that show, is that he would actually, they would film stuff and cut him into the movie.
Yes, he was hysterical. Some of the stuff, there was one where the woman comes in the house and she's sneaking up the door, and the camera cuts away to him, and he says, it's about time you got home, you slut. You know, and we're all sitting there laughing. We're kids, and you're talking about the early 50s, and we're watching this, and we're in hysterics watching this, and our parents have no idea we're watching this.
That was way before its time.
Yeah, it was. He was way before. And he was so, the thing was that he had this, castle, and his wife Isabel was in the coffin, and they would open the scenes where he'd be sitting in the coffin playing gin rummy with her or something, and he'd grab this steak and shake it, and she'd go, he'd say, give the old girl a thrill here, you gotta get her excited once in a while, and stuff. But he was such a slob, and he made such a mess that they made him go down into the basement. And, that's where the studio ended up putting him, because he was just such a mess. But he had a beautiful voice. He still does. He's 94 years old. He goes to the Chiller conventions in New Jersey and signs. I have a signed photo. Matt had gone there a couple of years ago and says, my mother loved you. He says, well, for mothers, I'll give you the mother's rate. I'm signing the picture, and he signed it over. He was ahead of his time. He was like Gene Shepherd, the Christmas Carol, Christmas Story, He was funny without realizing. I don't think he realized that people were going to remember him their whole lives. Honest to God. He was just so funny, some of the stuff he did. There's a scene where the actress is going to be hung and fall through like a trap door, so when it cuts away to where the trap door is, they cut away to him, and he's grabbing a mannequin that's substituted, obviously, because they insinuated him in, and he's like having his way with her, and he's like on top of her, tearing her clothes off and stuff. And, none of our parents realized it because they thought it's a kid's show.
Well, yeah, and they were, most of them were in bed.
Yeah, well, they were out in the parlor watching The Rifleman on Saturday nights, or Have Gun Will Travel, or one of them, and we would be, in the bedrooms watching that, and it would just, we would be sitting there. I mean, he gave us an education that was unbelievable, and he was just so much fun. But boy, he was my first crush, man. He was before Tyrone Powers, man. I fell in love with that.
That goes
guy.
way back.
Yes.
I mean, it goes back to like the let's see, 1896. It goes back to
black and white TV. Yeah. I think Tyrone Powers died in like 65 or something. But Zachary, he was funny. You could see his videos on YouTube, and they are funny. Horrible Horror it's where he's being evicted from the castle, and he's got to go through all the stuff. And he's going through and he's showing clips from movies and some of the ones where he jumps in there and stuff. And like there's the movie in the clip where Lon Chaney Jr. is looking at this beautiful white woman in the jungle. He says, I'm amazed to see you here, such a beautiful woman. And he moves towards her to grab her, and all the natives start jumping on him. And they cut away to Zachary, and he's there in nothing but a loincloth and a bone on his head.
That's
and
great.
he's
That's
screaming,
great.
Kill the bum! Kill the bum! Beat him up! Kill the bum! And
That's
stuff,
great.
You know.
What was the movie where? What was the movie where a scientist discovered that he could take the fluid from the pineal gland and make women beautiful forever? Remember that?
I don't. Wasn't that what's his name? Wasn't that the Dracula? What's his name? Wasn't that him that made that movie?
Could have been. You know, back here in the 70s, we had a show here that was not nearly as good as Zachary, but it was a local thing, and it was Dr. Mazeppa Pompazoide, which later turned out to be Gaylord Sartain. And Gaylord went on to be in like 40 or so motion pictures, and including Fried Green Tomatoes. And it was one of those things where it was don't miss TV for kids here. I mean, if you were in high school, if you didn't have a date, or even if you did have a date, yeah, did I? If you did have a date, you would stay home and you'd watch Gaylord Sartain on television. And he played horror films and Busby Berkeley musicals.
Wasn't Gary Busey, when I was looking at that, wasn't he, Gary Busey was on that show?
Yeah, he was. Gary Busey was here, former Tulsa kid, later gone brain dead.
You've got nothing but good things to say about them, huh?
No, about Gary Busey, but about Mazeppa, it was a darn good show. Yeah,
Jizzer Blinky. Dad's asking about 7-Up, Jizzer Blinky, Gizzer Blinky.
Well, it was a light bulb that was on top of, I believe, a 7-Up can with a couple of batteries inside of it, and it would it'd flash. It didn't go very well with marijuana.
Did I say, and it went well with marijuana? I don't know. I was
most everything did.
I was a product of Andy Devine. He had his show, and Terry Toon Circus, and one of the first claymation serials, the Lair, the Lost, where a bunch of
Krabby
kids,
Appleton.
Rotten
to the core.
A bunch of the kids went into the Museum of History, and then they go on a boat ride, and they go through a tunnel, and they end up in a valley with dinosaurs, and they have to try to find their way back. And when the series ended, they come back out through the tunnel, and they haven't missed a day, you know. And they wake up, and it was like it was a dream, but they still had things in the boat that they brought with them to prove that they were there. It was pretty cool for the time, you know.
Sounds like the Goonies.
What was it? Yeah, Sandy Becker. He had a show, of course, Soupy Sales. Soupy Sales was a staple when I was a kid with White Fang. Soupy Sales.
And Blacktooth?
Yeah, and the kids, he says now, it's New Year's Day, and Mommy and Daddy are probably still sleeping because they're really tired. He says, and I want you to go into their wallets, and I want you to get all that green paper out of their wallets and send it to your old Uncle Soupy. And And like only 2 kids did it or something, but some woman screamed bloody blue murder.
Oh, yeah. He had to apologize.
Yeah, Lost
for that.
World. That was it. Something like that. Yeah, it was a black and white serial back then, Pookie. There were some great shows back then, but Zachary, I will always love that guy. He was funny. You can see him on YouTube. He always looked like a ghoul. They call him Zachary the Cool Ghoul. He has a site that you can order stuff. But he was on American Bandstand with Dick Clark. He would introduce music. He was big. They had a thing where they go meet Zachary Day in Philadelphia, and they thought, okay, maybe 1,000 people if we're lucky, 2,000 will be blessed. Well, 20,000 people showed up.
Dude,
and it floored them. They never believed 20,000 people. They ended up damaging the studio, and blocking traffic and everything else. Deadeye's asking, remember Fantastic Theater on KVOO 20 Channel 2?
That was the show before that was, I believe, Shock Theater, which I don't think was Zachary. I think it was a local guy doing a ripoff of that, but it was pretty cool.
He did Schiller Theater. He did Shock Theater. There was a whole bunch, and he goes to the ChillerCon every year, and he was just hysterical. I can't say enough for him, and that's why I'm so well adjusted, because this was my childhood. Watching this guy rape mannequins.
Yeah. Mo, I consider myself pretty well adjusted also, and I grew up watching Sea Hunt, Zorro, all of the Oat 30-minute shows, the Cowboys and Indian shows, and going back and looking at them now, you can see that a lot of those shows were shot with TV or with power lines in the backgrounds.
Mm-hmm. Wristwatches on.
Yeah, wristwatches, or even better yet, with tire tracks in the dirt.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Deadeye is mentioning Outer Limits, and Outer Limits was One Step Beyond. Do you remember One Step Beyond?
I control the video. I control the horizontal. I control the vertical.
Yeah. That was Outer Limits. One Step Beyond, they took real stories, and they that were in the news and things like that. And one of the ones I remember the most is the Poltergeist, where the secretary in Germany was constantly, every time she met a guy, he would be attacked and things would be thrown around in the office where she worked and everything. And finally, at first they thought it was her doing it.
That's bad karma.
Yeah, like they thought it was kinesis and she was doing it herself and all this. But eventually they realized that it was something, a poltergeist that was very clingy. And she never actually got married, although in the One Step Beyond, they had it that she met a guy and he understood, and he just put up with it, with things throwing around and being thrown. So One Step Beyond was ahead of its time, too. It was actually really very good, like Alfred Hitchcock, too. They were really, really good, for people like me who liked unexplained phenomena. Every now and again Alfred Hitchcock would touch on that too.
Yep. I like unexplained stuff too. That's why I like the Dick Van Dyke Show so much.
Yes, that was very unexplained.
Highly unexplained.
That was a great cast. That was an absolutely great cast.
Not long ago, I was watching let's see, it's RET-TV, I believe, one of those retro channels, and there was a movie with Buddy Amsterdam and Sally, whatever her name was.
Yeah,
Maury Amsterdam.
Sally, whatever her name is.
Yep.
Yeah.
And anyway, it was basically unbelievable. But they were playing characters from the Dick Van Dyke Show, and at one point in the movie, they met the bald-headed guy. Mel.
Yeah.
They met the character Mel, and they said, "Haven't we met you before?" And he says, "Didn't you see the first of this movie?"
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it was mildly entertaining.
Saying, Jedi says he felt sorry for the agony of defeat. I mean, how many years did we sit there and watch the ski jumper on Wide World of Sports get creamed? I mean, that went on for 20 years. That poor schmuck never made it.
Wasn't he Claudine Longer's boyfriend?
I don't know.
Claudine Longer.
Yeah, she was Andy Williams' first wife, and she ended up shooting him and
Spider Savage.
You're talking about, Spider Savage, and
Spider
she ended up
Savage
shooting him, and Andy Williams stood by her. I don't know why, but he did.
Because it couldn't move.
There were good shows back then. I don't care for a lot of the shows I'm seeing now. Number one, it's too much sex. I mean, if I'm going to watch sex, I want to be one of the people having it.
All right, I have recently come to appreciate a show called Bob's Burgers.
Bob's Burgers, okay.
Bob's Burgers. You got to check that on Netflix. It's a Fox show. It airs Sunday nights, a little bit after The Simpsons.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
All right, you must, Mo. You must.
No. I want to take Friends and I want to blow up all the recordings of it. I want to get Friends off the air. I want to take those people and slap them all on the head and tell them to grow up.
I thought Friends was off the air.
It's on in syndication, and it's on like all day. That and what is it? The one isn't bad. What is that one where the geniuses are all together? What's that, Matt? That show with all the geniuses? The Big Bang. The Big Bang.
The Big Bang. Yeah.
On occasion, it's funny, but most of it's just talking about how they're all going to score, and I'm sick of hearing about that.
Hey, give me Seinfeld. Seinfeld any day.
Yeah, there isn't any comedy now that they can do without somebody, talking about sex anymore. I don't know why, but back in the day, comedy was funny, and you could hear Maury Amsterdam say something about Mel's bald head, and everybody would break up laughing, and it was funny, Now you can't say anything about people's bald heads, so you're not allowed to laugh at things like that anymore because it's not nice. And so now all they're left to talk about is sex, and I really don't enjoy it anymore. So
we've come full circle, Mo. I mean, we've gone all the way from Maury Amsterdam's bald head, shows that talk about nothing but sex, and then animal mutilations involving cow anuses. I mean, that.
And we did it all in 2 hours.
I mean, full circle.
Yep, and Zachary. We've talked about Zachary.
And Zachary.
The love of my life.
And I feel better for it.
He's got the most beautiful eyes in the world. He always will. He'll always be my first love. But anybody wants to see him, he's on YouTube. You can find him on YouTube. He also has a site, Zachary. I think you guys will all really enjoy it. Next week we have a very cool guest, and that's why I was learning today how to do everything. Libby Segal. Libby Segal is the hobby hoarder. She collects hobbies. She's done everything. She's bungee jumped. She's done, if it's knitting, anything from A to Z, she does it. And I think it's going to be a great show and so much fun. Because I don't know how a hobby hoarder affords everything, but she does. She does it all. So I want to thank Stan for spending this hour with me and being my moral support.
Hey, Mo.
Yeah.
You see Carl? Tell him I'm going to kill him.
Okay, you're going to kill him? Okay.
Kill him.
I key you.
That's right.
He's another. I wish I could get him on the show. He's so funny, Jeff Dunham. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for listening. And again, Libby Seagal's coming on, the Hobby Hoarder. And then on the 9th, we have the Titanic show. And I'm over the moon because Michael helped me with that. We have a recording of an interview with Stephen Cameron from the Belfast Titanic Society, his past chairman, and he's written a book, Titanic, Belfast Zone, and it looks at the Titanic as it applied to Belfast, what happened because it sank. And one of the funnier things was, he says, well, when she left here, she was okay. So that's how they look at it. They built a good ship, and when it left port, it was okay. What the British did to it, they don't know, but she sunk. And we're trying to work out with David Brown, who did our show last year, to come on and talk about the Titanic. So that's the 9th. And then on the 16th, Cheryl Lynn is coming on, and she's going to give us predictions for 2014. And then we're going to have Peter from the Forum Theater in Metuchen on the 23rd, and Ansel Hollingsworth is coming on to talk about Dr. Mabuse on the 30th. So April is a full month. I hope everybody has a wonderful Easter. I wish everybody that's Jewish to have a wonderful Passover. I hope whatever your faith is, that it is perfect for you and your family. And with that, I'm going to say good night. Say good night, Stan.
Good night. Thanks, folks.
Somewhere over the rainbow, birds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why, oh, can't
Thank you for visiting me at my lair. You can always contact me at www.asylumsgate.com. Again, thank you for visiting, and God bless you and yours.